Why does the narcissist accuse you of cheating? Narcissists are serial offenders when it comes to cheating. This is done because we have a sense of entitlement, no sense of accountability to you, no boundary recognition, the need to assert control, and of course, no emotional empathy. We don't care how it impacts upon you and others affected by our infidelity. So we will cheat on husbands, wives, boyfriends, girlfriends, cohabitees, partners, however you do wish to determine the relevant label. The narcissist cheats. Usually this is in the common understanding of cheating in terms of sexual infidelity. But we are also cheats with regard to money, emotions, confiding, intellect. So you will find that there is intellectual infidelity, emotional infidelity, financial infidelity. Our track records are well known in that regard. But we regularly accuse you of cheating. We maintain that you have been unfaithful. And it is a common response of a narcissist to accuse the victim of cheating. Why does this happen? Well, quite simply, you have done something to threaten the narcissist's control. And therefore, when you do that, the narcissism decides that control must be asserted over you. And if the narcissism selects that the most effective way to do this is to interact with you directly, the first assertion of control, there is a range of relevant manipulations that can be utilized by the narcissist for the purposes of asserting that control, one of which is provocation. And within that provocation, a common way of doing this is to accuse you of being a cheat. There is projection involved. We go to this because we regard you as our possession, and because of our overwhelming and sustaining need for control, this creates a paranoia about the narcissist. We have been calibrated to be hypersensitive to the issue of control, and therefore the narcissist perceives instinctively multiple threats to that control on a daily basis. You do not see them because you do not share the same perspective. You have not been calibrated in the same way. You don't have that hypersensitivity. Accordingly, when you do certain things, if you fail to answer your telephone, if you don't respond to a text message quick enough, if you walk away from us, if you don't do something for us, if you accuse us of something, if you demand to know where we have been, if you ask us to do something, all of those actions or lack of action, all of those things said or things not said, can amount to a threat to the control of the narcissist. And therefore, we must assert control over you. And as mentioned, there are lots of different manipulations that can be applied to do that. But a common one is the provocation of a false accusation of infidelity. And the reason for that is that if you are engaging in interaction with somebody else, that wounds us. So, if you're female and you're talking to a man at a bar, it is an innocuous, pleasant exchange with someone that you happen to know, perhaps someone you know vaguely through work, perhaps a customer of yours, maybe someone you've seen around, and that's it. But to us, what is happening is you talking to them means that you're providing fuel to that person when it should be provided to us. Your interaction with them means you're not interacting with us, and therefore it threatens our sense of control over you. Remember, it's not what you intend. It's not what you are thinking or doing. It is how it's perceived by us. And therefore, our perception of you engaging in that behaviour is that you are undermining our control of you. And we see that through our lens of control, the narcissistic perspective. And accordingly, our narcissism determines that we must assert control over you. And the sooner it is done, the quicker that is achieved, the more directly that it is done, so much the better. And therefore the narcissism instinctively, for lesser and mid-range narcissists, will select some form of provocation in order to make you react and thus give us fuel and signal that you are back under control. And therefore, the narcissism, in its effectiveness, will select something which is designed to make you react and is linked to what is happening. So, for instance, if you were talking to a man at a bar, and then you came over to talk to us, and we said to you, "Did you leave the iron on at home?" Although that could happen, it does not sit with the situation. It seems to be something of a non sequitur. And, whilst you might react to it, you're probably likely to go, "No, I've switched it off," and that's it. You won't provide much of a reaction, or "The iron wasn't being used, what are you talking about?" Instead, something more visceral, something more immediate, something more provocative must be done. And therefore, the narcissism chooses something which is more likely to react, and that is to offend your empathic traits, your empathic trait of honesty and decency, namely, that whilst empaths are not saints and you can cheat, you ordinarily do not do so. And therefore, what the narcissism does is it instinctively selects a manipulation that will cause the most immediate and visceral reaction in you, and one which is of plausibility in terms of the scenario. So if you were to return from talking to that man at the bar, and we were to say to you, "That chocolate cake you made wasn't very nice," we might be met by a bewildered response, but it doesn't really afford control to be given to us straight away, because you'll be thinking, what on earth has that got to do with anything? So instead, the narcissism needs to select something which is more relevant, and therefore what it will do is seek the provocation by saying to you, "Why are you flirting with him?" Of course, you are not, but from the narcissist perspective, you are. The narcissist honestly believes that you are flirting with that man. And of course, what can happen is that it causes an element of doubt in your mind, because you think, well, I was laughing and being friendly, but I was just being friendly, but perhaps he might have misinterpreted that as flirting. And so it causes you to go, I wasn't flirting, and I was just being friendly. Honestly, I have no interest in that person. You react to it. You may take offence to the suggestion that you've been cheating, that your empathic traits of honesty and decency are offended by that. Indeed, your emotional thinking will get hold of them and corrupt them to cause you to explain yourself, rather than you just shrug it off and say, "I wasn't, don't be so silly," and then walking away. Your empathic traits are seized upon by your emotional thinking to cause you to try and explain yourself, to be a truth seeker, to relay the truth of what actually is going on. He's just a friend. To be decent and honest. No, there's nothing happening between us. I've only got eyes for you. I wouldn't cheat on you. And such an outlandish allegation, but not from our perspective, because from the narcissistic perspective, it is truly believed that you are flirting, where this is a lesser or mid-range narcissist. That provokes a response in you. If you arrive late from somewhere on a night out, The narcissism again selects that provocation. You're seeing somebody else, aren't you? If you receive a telephone call and we don't recognize the number, you're having an affair, aren't you? The narcissist repeatedly will accuse you of cheating, of being unfaithful, of having an affair, of playing away from home, because it is based upon a plausible allegation in the circumstances, and it is a keen form of provocation which will always get a response from you. You'll be offended by what is being suggested. It will hurt you. It will cause you to respond in a way to plead you're innocent, to prove that you're not doing anything wrong. You want to demonstrate your honesty, your decency. You want to heal this problem, fix the issue that has arisen. Sometimes it can cause you to think, I can understand why you might possibly have thought that because I was being friendly with this person. Indeed, this accusation and your own emotional thinking can even start to cause you to question yourself. Perhaps it did look like I was flirting. Was I being over-familiar with this person? I did touch him on the arm. Maybe he's misread something into that. And so you start to doubt yourself. This accusation is made because it is a very effective way of bringing you under control and of drawing fuel from you, two of the most important aspects of the prime aims. Lesser and mid-range narcissists honestly do believe that you're cheating. There is, of course, no evidence from the majority perspective that this is going on, but that doesn't matter, because in the mind of the narcissist, driven by this paranoia, and seen through the narcissistic perspective, the narcissist does believe that you're cheating, that you're playing away, that you're being unfaithful. The greater and the ultra will know that it was just a harmless exchange of friendliness, but where appropriate, will make the accusation in order to control you. Of course, the greater and the ultra is less likely to be affected by this and will utilize a more appropriate means of asserting control, usually charm, and say, oh, who's that then? Such and such. Ah, yes, and there might be a put down. I recognise him. Yes, he works for that company that's just about to go into liquidation, isn't it? And so we put down that individual, distinguishing our superiority to them without making an accusation as against you. That's not to say that the greater or the ultra will not accuse you of being unfaithful. Of course we will. But lesser and mid-range narcissists tend to use it more often because they have a more limited manipulative palette available to them, and their instinctive narcissism requires the assertion of control quickly and the provision of fuel quickly, and therefore it selects by way of provocation something which is nearly always guaranteed to make you react, and that is to accuse you of being unfaithful. Most empaths are faithful. Yes, there are those which are dirty empaths, which I shall be describing in other work, but most empaths are faithful and indeed only tend to cheat as a consequence of either a narcissist coming their way or as the behaviour of a narcissist in the relationship pushing the empath elsewhere by reducing their emotional empathy. And therefore, with empaths having those empathic traits of honesty and decency, of being faithful, of showing compassion to the other person, their emotional empathy not causing them to cheat, because that is not the right thing to do, it's hurtful. Any suggestion that you are contravening those empathic traits drives to the heart of who you are and provokes that sudden response which is necessary for us to know that we have control and to gain fuel over you. So, why does the narcissist accuse you of cheating? It is because it is a very effective means of asserting control over you, drawing fuel from you, because it offends the very nature of who you are as an empath.